That's it. That's the whole damn game. It's just pileups, shooting down those pileups, and watching all the little bits fall off. This is Pika Thoughts, a series of my thoughts on games right after I finish them. And I guess that's kind of a lie for today's game, since I've been playing World War Z since it released on April 16th. All of the gameplay you see today is going to be recorded from the PC version that you could get on the Epic Store, but it's also available for the PlayStation 4 as well as the Xbox One. World War Z is very easy to compare to the Left 4 Dead series. From the structure of its campaigns, to the enemy variant types, to the way it's 4-player co-op. This game definitely took notes from the Left 4 Dead franchise, and I don't think it tries to hide it either. But the features it does provide give us enough variety within the formula we're used to, and I think I was much more appreciative because of it. We'll go ahead and start by talking about its campaigns. World War Z's are structured within episodes and then have levels within those. Each episode is set within a different part of the world, being New York, Jerusalem, Moscow, and Tokyo. I appreciated this hella because we got something outside of the ordinary United States-side zombie apocalypse. But the storytelling isn't anything to write home about. If anything, all of these campaigns just feel like excuses for shooting zombies, which isn't a bad thing because that's what we're here for. But I do appreciate the fact that they tried with these stories at least, and we also get different characters for each episode, along with unlockable bios for each character. So if you feel like it is a little bit lackluster, I mean, there's at least something for you to go through. But I doubt anyone is here for story, and before I get into the gameplay, before I get to the actual shooting of it all, I'd like to talk about what you get to shoot with. World War Z provides you with 3 slots of weaponry: your sidearm, your primary, and then a heaven? It is like heaven shooting it, but I meant a heavy weapon. It definitely comes in a clutch when you're getting overwhelmed or when you're seeing too many zombies pile over your defenses. But you don't get to attach anything to it at all. In fact, you don't get many customization options in general for the weaponry. Almost all have a stock or a laser sight, as well as a regular sight and an extended mag. You first have to unlock these attachments by using said weapon for however long, and then purchasing them with these S points, or shmoney as I like to call them. Regardless of what you decide to refer them to, they're needed in both progression systems for the weaponry and the class system. The class system is very similar to the weaponry, where the more you play a certain role, the more perks you get to unlock and purchase for that role. Though I will say most of these nuances feel understated until the higher levels of difficulty. And even then, in order to survive in the higher levels of difficulty, you'll probably want a leveled up character. You get to choose from Gunslinger, Hellraiser, Medic, Fixer, Slasher, and Exterminator. And if I'm gonna be completely honest, I used Exterminator the most because, well, I'm not trying to admit anything here, but watching zombies burn is pretty dang awesome. I got Molotovs, in case that wasn't made clear. Because both systems use the shmoney, it'll take a little bit to unlock all of the perks and all of the attachments for the weapons and classes. But after playing the game for about 3 weeks, I definitely have not felt the grind. Because this game does one thing really well, and that's killing zombies. The shooting isn't particularly reactive, and I guess it feels kind of floaty at times, but it never got in the way of my enjoyment of the game. Picking off zombies as they piled up over your defenses is one of the most anxiety-filled experiences that I've had all year. There were several times where I felt entirely overwhelmed and not necessarily scared, but frantic. I definitely mashed F a bunch, which is your melee attack for the game. Now, I've tried not to mention Left 4 Dead since the beginning, and I've made it this far. But one of my favorite features of World War Z is the fact that you can mash F for your melee attack. You get both the sidearm and the melee weapon without having to sacrifice either. Instead, you get a stamina bar that allows you 5 hits before you have to wait for it to recharge. I cannot begin to tell you how many times I use that as my panic button. It's like, just as the game becomes too overwhelming, well, here you go feeling like a badass again. And I applaud it for keeping that balance throughout. It both reinforces doing your part, but not straying too far away from your teammates. Because it's very easy to clear out a certain horde just to turn around to be overrun by another. They were not joking when the devs said that there will be 500 zombies on screen at once. The setups are usually the same, with a bunch of barbed wire, electrical fences, turrets, auto turrets, mortars, etc, etc. It's the whole shebang. But it's these moments that make it worth the price of admission, cause let me tell ya, I've lived out several of my last stand fantasies since I've played this game. Before I wrap up here, I do have to point out that there were a few glitches in the game. It didn't happen all too often, but there were a few times where zombies shared bodies, but with all of the chaos and all of the zombie parts you will be piecing apart, I really doubt you'll even notice these. There were also a few times where enemies would push out my teammates from playable areas. I'm not gonna lie, I could see how that would be annoying, but I did find it funny at the time. It is something that the devs probably should look at though. But there you go, that was Pika thoughts on World War Z. I hope I didn't seem like I was giving this game too much credit, because it does feel like a budget buy at times, but I feel like it's worth that budget buy. And I didn't even go into the zombie-filled multiplayer game mode. Come to think of it, there are a few details I feel like I missed, like the AI is very competent if you do decide to play alone, but this is very much a multiplayer game. Who knows how long the communities will be active. I mean, currently I don't have any trouble finding games online if I do decide to queue up alone, but it's a much better experience when you're playing with people that you know. Whether you got thoughts on the game or the video or whatever games you are playing, let me know down in the comments. And if y'all could follow me on these social media, that would definitely help me out. Anyway, this is Pika Thoughts on World War Z. It's worth